Joining me now to talk about all of this is associate editor of The Hill, Niall Stanage. Niall, Fetterman talked for 7 minutes. He was on the attack against Oz, as we just heard. His speech seemed clear. He seemed succinct and to the point. But this has been an issue for him. He's been slowly coming out and doing interviews, public appearances just now ramping up. Is it fair for Dr. Oz to make this an issue?
It's fair to make the overall health of a candidate an issue. I do think that that is fair. Whether it is fair to mock someone for having a stroke or mock someone for their dietary choices purportedly contributing to that stroke, that seems much more doubtful to me. But I think in John Fetterman's case, what he really needs to prove to voters is that he can clear a bar of being acceptable in robust enough health to do the job if elected. People understand stroke is a major thing. They also understand that people can recover fully from them. So all Fetterman has to do is prove that he is basically okay, even if still in the process of recovering.
Fetterman did agree to one debate. It's coming at the end of October. It'll be here on NewsNation. But it's weeks after mail-in voting starts. He obviously wanted to wait until he has been very open in interviews that I've watched him give about the fact that his speech wasn't fully, like sometimes he had to wait and search for a word and did not want to be on a debate stage doing that with Dr. Oz. Will this one debate this late in the campaign do anything?
Perhaps not. I mean, obviously, a lot depends on whether there would be any particularly dramatic moments in that debate. Overall, Elizabeth, as you're well aware, debates tend to matter when something goes wrong. It's very rare for someone to win a debate by being so great that everyone says, oh, that was brilliant, let's elect that person. They tend to be remembered for gaffes. That's not to say that John Fetterman will necessarily commit any such gaffe. But I think you raise a really important point about him only agreeing to one debate very late in the campaign. And I think that's emblematic not just of him recovering from his stroke, but also believing that he is in the lead in this race, even if by a diminishing margin. The leader in any election campaign is typically a lot less enthusiastic about debates than the person who needs to make up ground.
You talk about gaffes. So far, most of the gaffes, I think, have been from Dr. Oz. I mean, whether it's him talking about crudité or defending his half a dozen mansions he owns in many different states, or his residency or lack of residency in Pennsylvania. And that has led Oz to go really, really aggressive in some of these ads. He launched an ad called Inmates for Fetterman. He's been accusing Fetterman of being soft on crime. All, by the way, without talking very much about what he would do himself if he were elected about crime. Are these attacks about being soft on crime sticking at all to Fetterman?
Well, with the argument for them, I suppose, would be this diminution that we're seeing in Fetterman's lead. But negative campaigning generally is risky. People run negative ads, attack ads, because they do or can work. But you need to be very careful that you don't put off voters, particularly voters in the middle ground, who look at those kind of attacks and might just end up disliking the person behind the ad, in this case Mehmet Oz, rather than the target of the ad. That's why I think it is so risky. And to your earlier point, things like crudité gate was not great for Mehmet Oz, and does reflect a kind of eternal truth in politics, which is that success in one area of life, television in Dr. Oz's case, doesn't necessarily translate to political success. Running for office is actually really quite hard, and making that transition can be a bumpy road for a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people think that when Senator McConnell was talking about candidate quality problems for the Republican candidates for Senate, that he might have been including Dr. Oz in that. Bottom line, for our viewers tonight in Oklahoma and Indiana wondering why we're watching about this, explain the significance of this race and what Democrats hope to do with this seat.
Significance of it is twofold. One, it's in a very competitive state, a state that has been decided in the past 2 presidential elections by less than 2 percentage points. But the other key point, and you mentioned it in your introduction, Elizabeth, is this is where Democrats have a chance to take a seat back. It is a Republican Senator, Pat Toomey, who is retiring. The Senate right now is balanced 50-50. If Democrats take a seat off of Republicans in Pennsylvania, that makes Senator McConnell's efforts to retake the chamber for the Republican Party much more difficult, particularly as we're seeing the midterms race tighten generally and the previous advantage that the Republican Party had being whittled away.
Niall Stanage from The Hill, thank you so much for being with us and lending us your expertise tonight.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.